It is that time for Mr. Tat. And that is my response to a tweet. And today's tweet, it says, Phil, what happened yesterday that made you so upset? What happened yesterday that made me so upset? Wow, I'm not going to try to dwell on this thing too much longer, but I am going to try my best to drive this point home because this is something that's very, very significant, people. And what happened was this. I noticed that we have a presidential candidate that has been the front runner for the longest. And he's the front runner based on his outspokenness, his lack of political correctness, that about damn timeness of his campaigning style, doesn't take any junk. He's going to look out for our veterans. He's using the constitutional right, but more so he's articulating that America is not great, and he single-handedly is going to make America great again, and he's got support, which he should have, based on those things. And what ticked me off is that I created a radio show. I was given the opportunity by Patriot Insight to have a radio show as a black conservative. And we know how black conservatives come under attack by liberals. And we have the most sound principles to not only help our country stay great, but make us exceptional. We love the Constitution, we love our amendments, our Bill of Rights, we love the rule of law, and we are constantly under attack by liberals when we use our free speech rights, our constitutionally protected rights. And we have a candidate that is at the top of the polls and won't hesitate to tell you this. Say I 50 times sideways. And then when I go do the same thing, the people, his supporters, a group of his supporters, feels that I should lose my livelihood. Implementing the same thing that he's doing. And I should lose my livelihood. My loved ones can't benefit off of my hard work. I can't have this. But the bigger thing that got me was I followed the shiny object. And I missed practicing what I preach and what I share. And here's where it is. I almost fell for the okie doke. This is what they were upset with me about. I said, because of one of their supporters said, I am going to support Trump no matter what. Good or bad. And I just basically responded with, we shouldn't blindly follow any person. And then I used the analogy, I showed exactly how this is happening with the liberals that has our country at the point to where your candidate needs to make it great again. Because of us blindly following Barack Obama and the liberals. And I also made the point that that blind following had a group of people, around 30%, that has changed and redefined so much of what makes America unexceptional. And that's all I pointed out, is that we should never blindly follow anybody. And the part that was really, really interesting, that I almost followed the shiny object, is that if Trump would have came on stage and said, don't blindly follow nobody. Look at what happened when we blindly followed Barack Obama. This is the reason why I'm running for president as a multi-billionaire that don't really need to do this. Because I feel led to make this country great again. If he would have said it, they would have been cheering through the rafters. They would have been cheering louder than anything you've ever heard. The Seattle Seahawks 12th man would have been envious over how loud they would have cheered if Donald Trump would have said the same exact thing I said. But this is what happened. This is what happened. I almost didn't take my own advice. I almost followed the shiny object. What was really going on to make them come out against me so hard? And I realized it wasn't me. They don't care if I have a radio show or not. They didn't care about any of that. See, check this out, people. We have a group of people in the world, and it's just a human condition, that looks for an excuse to really, really, really do or say what's in their heart. They look for an excuse. Give you some examples. Domestic violence, domestic abusers. They have abuse in their heart. They have anger in their heart. They're looking for an excuse to release it and not be held accountable for what they do. So he'll say the food was cold. The kids are noisy. Why didn't you run my bath? It's 2 inches too short. They look for an excuse to be able to go be violent. It happens, there was somebody looks for an excuse to demean our soldiers. They look for an excuse to demean women. They look for excuses. We have a candidate that will tell you, he's on the top because why? He said if they hit me, I'm going to hit them back. If they say something negative to me, they're looking for excuses. And this is what happened with Phil Williams. There's a group of Donald Trump supporters that was looking for the excuse to use the N-word. They were looking for an excuse to be racist in the open and not be held accountable for it. They looked for a reason because they had all this pent up animosity towards black people, and over the last 7 years they couldn't release it because of the success of what they want to call this black president, when it's really the success of liberalism. They were looking for an excuse, and I provided it. Because if Donald Trump would have said the same exact thing I said, they would have cheered it. But now I say it, and they do just like Donald Trump. They interpreted it as an attack. So they felt justified in doing what was really in their heart. And that was to use the N-word freely and frequently and often. They didn't want me to lose my job. They wanted an excuse to lose that pent-up aggression and put it out in the open. They wanted to get it out. And I just happened to be the huckleberry or the jigaboo. These people came out and said that I'm a pedophile. They said that I should give Megyn Kelly HIV. Based on just because I said we shouldn't blindly follow somebody. You would give that advice to your children. If they're blindly following somebody's going to get them in trouble. You would give that advice to people at church. If you go to church, if you don't go to church, you would give that advice every day. And I give it now. All of a sudden, this nobody provided them the excuse to do what's in their heart. And they got it honest. And the thing that concerns me is that the supporters are showing me, some of these supporters are showing me that the great again that they want is when America had a group of people that ran around and demeaned people, called them the N-word, treated females bad and everything all in the open, and they were revered as the masters. And that's a segment that wants that greatness again. The shiny object was making me lose my job. The big picture is they was looking for an excuse to lose their minds and not be held accountable. So if you're focused on holding me accountable, and trust me, you people fell for it and you never even heard my show. And you signed a petition. They created a petition for me. And you signed a petition based on somebody you never met or never heard. Because you was looking for an excuse. And here's the deal, as I close this out. Just like me, Phil Williams, a black man, holds Black Lives Matter accountable for when they want to say kill Whitey. I wonder if you other Trump supporters are going to hold those people accountable because they were saying kill Blackie. Or are you guys that liberal group of hypocrites that I and a lot of other people in America, the other 70% that don't support Trump, are you that group of liberals that needs Trump to win to help Hillary? And you just want us to believe you're a conservative, and we already know that you're not. Hey, that's my response to a tweet on the Phil Williams Show.